Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. It is exactly 9:40, news and views on Salam Media. And we're now going to be talking with Sadiya Ismail. She is with the MC Kharbai School Therapy Department and Support Team. We're going to talk about Deaf Awareness Month in South Africa and sign language as well. Sadiya, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam. Jazakallah for the welcome and introduction.
Thank you indeed for being with us. I'm assuming you are an audiologist by profession.
A psychologist.
A psychologist. Okay. So what sort of work do you do at the Kharbai School for the Deaf?
So I'm part of the school-based support team, and we provide support to the learners with hearing impairments. So I focus on learner support, especially in the foundation phase, to bridge the gap. Learners with hearing impairments have a gap of language. Because growing up with sign language in the hearing world. So we try to bridge that gap by providing support, remediation, as well as therapy. So for the bigger learners, therapy provided in South African Sign Language.
Okay, so does that mean you had to learn sign language when you joined the school?
So I initially joined the school as a teacher, as an educator, and that's where I learned South African Sign Language. And then broadening my education, that's when I got exposed to South African Sign Language and learned more from there.
How difficult is it to learn sign language? How long does it take? And I think you've got a colleague there who's going to sit next to you to sign as we speak.
Yes,
Is she there?
yes.
Let her sit down and
She's,
join us
yeah.
as well.
Okay, perfect. So this is my colleague.
Okay, hello, how are you? Okay,
I'm well,
so
thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Your name, please? Yes,
My name.
yes,
name
your
is
name.
Carabello. Carabello.
Okay, Carabello, and you're going to sign as we speak. Uh, Sadia, how long does it take for someone to learn sign language? And is it very
So
difficult?
it wasn't difficult for me because I was exposed to sign language every day. And as we go along, our learners teach us. So it wasn't difficult. It took me about, I would say, about a year to get into it and learn. But as going along, we learn different concepts and the structure of sign language. But it's amazing.
How important is it for us as regular South Africans to be aware of the deaf community and this month of September being Deaf Awareness Month?
I think, first of all, it's such an achievement to celebrate our 12th official language. It's such a privilege, especially for the deaf community, which is why this September celebration is going to be extraordinary. I think it's so important to make everyone aware of the language. You know, by giving classes, by being aware of the language. It's so difficult for the deaf community to be in a hearing world. So I think to provide that awareness is very important.
When children from the deaf community graduate out of that school and enter the regular work life, um, are there sufficient opportunities for them, or are there, support groups in place to assist them to lead a regular life as possible?
So at our school, we have a skill section where we focus on different skills which the learners are able to learn.
Okay, the picture just seems to have frozen there. I'm not sure if we're still connected. Can you hear me, Sadia? All right, we seem to have a disconnect there with Sadia, and we were talking about Deaf Awareness Month. Let's see if we can reconnect so that we can continue the discussion. Please stay with us. We'll take a very quick. Oh, there she is. We don't need to take an ad break. Thank you. Welcome back. What is Deaf Awareness Month all about? What sort of awareness are you creating for people? I also understand there are two types of deafness. Can you explain to us what that is?
Okay, so we have profound hearing loss, and that's where they fully reliant on South African Sign Language. And then we have hard of hearing, where there is a bit of awareness, but also reliant on South African Sign Language. I think this month it's so important to make everyone aware of South African Sign Language as well as the deaf community. Yeah.
You keep referring to South African Sign Language. That is suggesting to me that sign language is not necessarily universal, that each country has their own style of sign language. Would I be correct in that assessment? And what would the differences be from country to country?
Correct. So we have British Sign Language, American Sign Language based on the country. There are similarities with some of the signs, but I think the different concepts are understood different in different contexts. So on our Deaf Awareness Day, we will be doing sign language classes, sign language quizzes, just to make the community aware also for basic concepts like the alphabets. We have something called finger spelling, where if you find a word difficult, you would finger spell it. So we're trying to get that for our Deaf Awareness Day on the 9th of September. So just trying to introduce that to make the community aware of Deaf Awareness Day, of Deaf Awareness Month, and learning sign language.
So if I am able to sign in South African language, and if I go and visit or live in the UK or the US, how difficult will it be for me to adapt to their sign language? Is it very similar, or would it take me a couple of days or weeks just to adapt?
I think it's very similar. It's just the context of our sign language, which is different. However, the finger spelling has have similarities with them. So I don't think it would be difficult to learn.
In terms of Deaf Awareness Month, I think the one crucial thing is once the learners graduate out of your school, are you comfortable that there are sufficient opportunities for them, either in tertiary or even in the workplace?
Okay, so with tertiary education, they would need interpreters. Unfortunately, I'm not sure whether there's enough interpreters in our country to provide that. However, we do see inclusive education. We do see that there is opportunities for our learners. However, because of the awareness that we're trying to get, we're trying to provide more opportunities for tertiary and workplace opportunities for our learners.
What should I know and the rest of the public know about deaf awareness? It is the month of deaf awareness. What should I or shouldn't do when I'm trying to engage with a person who is deaf or hard of hearing?
Okay, so we have something called deaf culture. It's the basic ways to interact with the deaf community. So it would be things like getting attention of the deaf, how we interact with the deaf, the do's and the don'ts. So it's very important, I think, for the community to learn about deaf culture, to learn how to interact with a deaf person. For example, can I just give an example of maybe if you're trying to get an attention of deaf person, we usually flick the lights. So we switch and switch on the lights just so that we can get the attention instead of, pushing the person. So it's basic things like that, which is called deaf culture, which I think is important to create awareness in the inclusive South Africa that we are in today.
Anything else we need to know about the deaf community and Deaf Awareness Month so that we are more respectful in our interactions with the deaf community?
I think inclusivity is very important. So, like I said, learning the sign language, providing more opportunities for deaf, especially in tertiary education. And as a school, we try to create awareness, job opportunities with the skills that we do have. Our Deaf Awareness Day is this week, Saturday, where we would be providing sign language classes, quizzes. We're going to have a lot of fun activities this week, Saturday. So, just being involved with the community, learning about it, creating that inclusivity is so important. So this week, Saturday, we would be having our annual Deaf Awareness Day celebration of the 12th official language. And I think now that brings on more inclusivity, more ways to introduce it to the community. So it's really a special day for us, especially the month of September for deaf awareness.
It's marvelous that sign language has become the 12th official language in South Africa. But what sort of programs are in place? I mean, it's fine that it's the official language, but we need to learn it so that we can engage with the deaf community. Where and how does one go about learning the language, apart from, a few schools scattered throughout South Africa? Has the Department of Education made these type of resources available to the general public?
Unfortunately, not that I know of. However, Wits University does have a sign language class, a course which is available. As a school at MCK, we do provide sign language classes every Saturday for our parents so that better communication is at home and at school. Also the same consistent sign language from school and home. There is a deaf SASL app, which is easily accessible on the App Store. So you just type up a word on there, and there is signs for that specific word. So I think that's the way that the community can be more aware of deaf and sign language.
Wonderful. Thank you for talking to us this morning and bringing to our attention the difficulties being faced by deaf people, and that there are resources in place for us not to have an excuse to say, I didn't know, I don't know how, but we should educate ourselves to engage more with the deaf community. Carry on the great work, you guys. Lovely to hear that there's an amazing school for the deaf. I think it's out in Lothian, Pretoria. Am I right? Has been there for many, many years.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
The school, where are you based? Is it in Lothian?
We're based in Lenasia,
Oh,
Johannesburg South.
Indonesia. Okay, there
Lenasia,
you go.
Johannesburg South.
Okay, wonderful. Keep up the good work. Thank you for talking with us, and
Thank you.
assalamu alaikum to you.
Walaikum salam.
It's exactly 9:54. News and views on Salam Media. We're wrapping up with an interview with obviously the Vodacom CEO Shamil Jussup. It's an acknowledgement. He has recently received the distinguished honor of Doctor of Philosophy in Management Sciences, and that's where we will be wrapping up. Hope that you enjoy the interview. Thank you for your company on the show this morning. Till tomorrow morning at the same time, as always, take care on the roads. And it is Assalamu alaikum from me, Julie Ali.